I'm just in the studio where The Facts of Life was recorded. The theme to The Facts of Life. That's right, Alan Thicke. Right here in this room, Sage and Sound, Hollywood, California. I'm Jeff. Thanks so much for coming in and visiting. Sage and Sound. This show is Sage and Sound Advice, and this is the home. This is the home office of this operation. Victor and Sean Hurley, bassist, and Chris Steffen are usually the proprietors of this studio. But right now it's just me and my piano, so I'm going to continue working on a little music. About Dave Elitch. He's a drummer's drummer. He's the mastermind. He's the sensei. He loves cactus tacos down the street. You probably already know about him, but what you don't know about him is what he's about to tell you right now. He loves the drums.
I am with the Zen master of drums, Mr. Dave Elitch.
Happy to be here.
We've already been talking, and I've been talking way too much.
We both have.
I'll start backwards, talking about Greg Bissonette and how cool it is he was coming to work with you and take lessons.
Yeah.
What is that like, working with somebody who is he's a master?
It's cool. I mean, not only is he like the sweetest dude on the planet, but he's so humble. And like what you were saying earlier, is he's always searching and he's always looking for something new to do. And we did a clinic tour together in Australia a few years ago. It was me and Greg and Chris Coleman and John Riley, and it was so much fun. And we're playing, and Greg's like comes up to me after. He's like, "Man, I have no idea what you're doing on some of those fills, man. Like, I'd love to take some lessons when we get back to LA." And I was like, "Yeah, whatever, dude. Like, sure, you know." And then like we get back in town, and he's like, "Hey, dude, I'm ready to take a lesson." And I was like, "Oh, okay," you know. And
right.
So I teach a lot of my contemporaries, which is beautiful, and it's such an amazing thing to be able to do that. But a lot of times it's sort of kind of a cluster of lessons, and I might not see them again. But Greg just kept, I don't know, I've probably taught him like 10 or 15 times now, and it's
incredible.
It's beautiful. He's just like, "Yeah, man, this is great," and I'm getting him into like doing like Meshuggah, like double bass patterns, because he was like wanted to do double bass, and I was like, well, this would be great. And then we put it on, he's like, "This is awesome." He's just like so open to doing anything. Yeah. And he genuinely he's like a little kid. It's beautiful, man.
What do you get out of giving lessons?
Seeing the light bulb go on in someone's brain, or like seeing their eyes light up when like they either get something conceptually, or usually with me it's physiological, that they've been sort of circumnavigating for years sometimes and never quite been able to execute it properly. Like Stephen Wolf, he's a really close friend of mine. We've been talking about doing the lesson for years, and we finally did one when he was here for NAMM, and I finally got him to, he holds a lot of tension, and I got him to finally release all the tension in his legs, and he started tearing up because he's spent his whole life being bound up, and he'd never felt that before. I mean, it doesn't get more beautiful than that. Posture thing has been really interesting. Like, that's just one piece of this much larger schema, which is all about using the body how it's supposed to be used and being in accordance with your body and with nature. And if you do that, ideas will just come out unencumbered, which is the point. Right? If you just think something that just comes out, then more easily, and your body's not going to get fucked up in the process. So, but the posture thing specifically has been interesting in the last few years. A lot of people are like, "Oh, you're the posture guy," and I'm like, sure. I think it's just a lot of people, no one's talked about that before, really specifically. Right. So, which leads me to think that a lot of people have really shitty posture. Yeah. Just no one's really talked about it. So with the technique, the grip, the posture, the digging the beater into the head, like whatever, all that stuff, obviously I think is super important. But I would would take someone like you, or Mark Juliana, or Phil Collins, or the dude from Deerhoof, or the dude from Refused, or like these, everyone has like weird Dave King, I just did a clinic with a couple days ago. Like, I would any day take any of those dudes that have such a beautiful, like, strong identity, who's might be doing something inefficient. I don't give a shit. Like, the technique is secondary to that. Like, you might screw your back up down the road, which is unfortunate, but like, are you making a musical statement? That's all I care about.
When you're having a shitty day and you need to play, when you're going through a heartache, how do you use that, or do you not use it? Do you separate yourself from it?
It's interesting. It's sort of a paradox for me. Like, I think your life experience comes through in your playing, obviously, but the times that I can think of me directly using maybe me having a bad day or going through a breakup or something, and using those in my playing, it's usually detrimental. Usually takes away from my playing.
Right.
But if I'm playing music that I really am feeling something about emotionally, I can't help but like stand up and like do weird shit physically, because I'm sort of not thinking about it. So, I've said this a few times before, like when I'm playing, especially like aggressive music that I'm really feeling like I just want to run through a wall. I don't always play like that, but that's the feeling that I get from any type of music that knocks the wind out of you, that makes you go like, oh man, that's so heavy, or that's beautiful. There's a lot of depth to that. Like, I almost have to be just sort of floating along, thinking about nothing, and if I let the whatever's going on in my life into this, it's usually not good.
If you were on a session, you've never heard the song, and you're about to play a song, you hear it, so how much of the emotion of the song would factor into what you were going to do? Are you thinking more of the structure of the song? How much does it equate in there for you?
Yeah, well, just the way that my brain works, my first goal is to get the form down.
Right.
Because if I don't know the form, then I can't play musically. And the way my brain works, it usually takes me a long time to get the form down, which doesn't work when you're in that type of situation, which both of us have been in many times.
Yeah.
So having a quick way to chart out the song really quickly and then wrap my brain around that as quickly as possible, that's always my first inclination, because I know that's my weakest thing out of all of the things, right? So once I wrap my brain around the form of the song, then I'm just trying to be like, how can I serve this song? Like, and a lot of times, if like the bridge comes up and it sounds better for me to just lay out, I'll just lay out. Now, I don't have any reason for me to like try and put my stamp on it. I just want the artist to be happy. Now, if I'm doing an original project, I'll definitely take more liberties in being like, oh, I want to put my own thing on this. But, if you're work for hire, that's what you are. You just try and make the song as effective as possible.
We got to work together one time on a movie.
Yep, St. Vincent.
Yeah, and that was reading, and then also we were playing weird kind of deconstructed kits, which was interesting in and of itself, right? Because that just takes you out of your element. Do you feel more comfortable reading something as opposed to having to walk in and having to chart something out yourself?
It's a good question. It's interesting. With the reading stuff, if you don't do it very often, then you're not going to be very good at it, which is what I mean, even though I teach and read stuff every day, like sight reading, I don't do that often.
Yeah.
When I did that Logan movie, Double Drumming with Matt, like they handed me the book and I was like, well, I guess I could just like sneak out the back door. Like I was like, oh my God, how am I going to pull this off? It was gnarly. So there are times when it freaks me out, but also like it's there, it's already done for you. You're not like, okay, I can listen to the song like maybe 2 or 3 times. I have to write this shit out really quickly. That's another type of pressure. So it sort of depends. I'd say I get more freaked out having to sight read stuff just because I don't do it that often. Yeah. And the whole reason I got into that stuff initially is basically because of Matt. Someone calls Matt to do things and he's like, I can't do them, or I need someone to do this with me, and he calls me, which is amazing. I mean, Matt's one of my heroes. So that was why I did that St. Vincent thing with you, because Matt was like, oh, I'm out of town with Robert Fripp or something. Right. And I know you can read, so and then we ended up doing that stuff together. So thank God for Matt, man.
What did you hear in your house? Like, what were your parents playing?
Stuff from the basically 30s, 40s, 50s, a little bit of 60s, but it was a lot of big band, a lot of jazz, a ton of Frank Sinatra, the Beach Boys a little bit, Beatles a little bit. Yeah, there wasn't like a ton of pop music.
Yeah. What's the first record you remember getting with your own money?
Wow. I don't know if anyone's ever asked me that. Man, well, it was a cassette.
Is it a single?
No. Like the Weezer Blue album, maybe like In Utero, like Nirvana record, like a Phil Collins record. Those are like the earliest. Do you remember those radios that were like the rear end of cars and you pop the trunk and
Totally,
yeah. So it was like a 69 Cadillac hot pink and you pop the trunk and put the cassette in. And I remember listening to like all that Phil Collins stuff like a crazy amount when I was really young.
Right. And what age did you start playing?
It's funny. I said I started playing at 10 for my whole life, but I was thinking about it recently, and I was like, well, I got a drum kit on my 10th birthday, so that means that I probably started playing when I was like 8 or 9.
Right.
But I had a friend who I slept over at his house, and he was like, oh, I have a drum lesson tomorrow morning, and I was like, oh, I don't know, I'll hang out and watch. That sounds cool. And then like he was like, do you want to give it a shot? And I just sat down. I was like, oh, I can kind of do this. This is kind of easy. And then you get hooked into that like new information every week. So yeah, I was just totally hooked.
Right.
Yeah.
And so you started out with taking lessons.
Yeah, right out of the gate. Yeah.
And you had a teacher that you really liked.
Yeah, it was this guy Eric Wiedenheimer. Great first teacher. Got me doing all the Ted Reed syncopation stuff and New Breed, and got me reading and like having all the basic fundamentals down. He was great, and then he couldn't really teach me anymore when I got to be like 12. He just kind of ran out of stuff to show me because I was just like voraciously inhaling everything, and then I didn't have a teacher for a while, and then I found this guy Rob Materi who was great, got me into Gary Chafee and Frank Briggs' book and a lot of book stuff. He hit me to Faith No More, which was huge. And then I met Jason Gianni, who teaches at the Collective in Manhattan now, when I was like 15 or 16, and yeah, we did a lot of great stuff.
Right.
Oh, hey, everybody. We're back. Sage and Sound Advice, episode number... This segment is special. It's where you learn about the ins and outs behind the scenes, the technical, kind of what happens to make the music play. And as Neil Peart once said, he's a new world man. That doesn't have anything to do with this next segment, but we hope you enjoy it. I gotta keep shedding. Oh, that's how... Finger it though.
This is Sage Support, a look way behind the scenes of how things really get done in the business of music. Today, we visit Chris Hewer at Hewer's Drum Lab.
Tell me exactly what it is that you do.
Drums, lots of them. No, I do a lot of restorations and custom builds, custom paint jobs, edges, anything a drum when it needs love. I try to give it that love.
The best of the best, they bring their drums to you. Vinnie Colaiuta, Matt Chamberlain, Kurt Biscara, everybody brings their stuff to you.
I've been very blessed.
Also known for making a custom snare everybody in town calls the Hitmaker.
Yes.
And how did that start and how did that come about?
Well, that was basically when I went back to Drum Paradise when Lee Smith had taken over. He was a drum builder, and it really did take off, actually. Those drums were used, still used today by producers I know, and they still have them and love them. That was my really introduction into repairing. I moved to LA from San Francisco to get more into drumming, and when you come down here and you see your competition, I gotta say, it's a little scary because you're going against the greats, and that was the time when people were busy and music was selling, and so it was a hard avenue to break into, but I still wanted to be in the business, and I've always been good at fixing things, so it kind of fell into place there where I landed on that side instead of playing, and well, here we are 20 years later, so I guess I'm doing something right. Well, edges is basically making sure you have a level platform to seat your head for optimum tuning range. Getting lower notes out of those drums, having a true edge really does help achieve that. A bad edge, you'll get growls and buzzes. And when you get an edge, and I keep the same profile, especially on vintage drums, I don't like to change it. That's what worked, and keep it the same. Email Chris, C-H-R-I-S, at Hewer's Drum Lab, H-E-U-E-R-S Drum Lab.
Hey, we're here with Sage and Sound Advice. I'm with the incredible Lucy Woodward, and it's great. We don't get a chance to make music together often enough, so I'm really glad she came over to the studio and we can demonstrate kind of the rapport between accompanist and vocalist, and there's no better vocalist to do this kind of, I don't want to call it an exercise, but this kind of performance than Lucy Woodward. So here she is, Lucy Woodward.
Jeff and I have a long history of playing music together. I love playing with him. He brings so much color to my life. But also he's a rock. He's my foundation. There is nothing like having an accompanist on stage with you or in the studio where you just go, boom, you reel me in.
You know he has your back.
He has my back, yeah. And we are going to demonstrate the singer-accompanist relationship.
She knows what she wants, but she's a musician. I wouldn't say she's a singer. She's a musician.
Oh. I know I was told early on not to say things like, can you play that more lavender sounding? You know, like be direct.
Mutual respect, I guess, and communication, and not to fear the other person's.
I think that's the big thing, is fearing what the other person will say or judge you internally. And, you know, so I don't fear you and you don't fear me. And I don't fear what you'll say. I have other fears in life.
Like what?
Let's play the song. A song called Babies.
Yeah. And I made, by the way, as a responsible pianist years ago, I made this chart.
I didn't send it to you?
You asked for a copy of it when I was
Oh shit, that's right.
Because I was the only responsible pianist that would make it.
Ever.
That's not true.
The only
Hashtag
responsible.
Henry Hay.
I wrote this song with our friends Michelle Lewis and Dan Petty. Too slow.
It's too slow already?
Too slow.
Seriously?
Too slow. It's just too slow. I really wish you
That's
had
what
more
definitely.
time.
I don't need you to snap it. I have the fucking metronome. Totally cool.
See, we're cool.
If we didn't respect each other, then we wouldn't.
If we didn't fear each other.
I'd be offended. What's that?
It's good. It's really great. I think it's just swell more.
That's some lavender. If you ask me,
lavender.
that's your lavender.
Swell.
She's, by the way, she's the daughter of a conductor or something, so she feels.
I know all about.
All right. Was that fast?
No, it was actually a good tempo. Just put a little more.
Fast to me.
It wasn't fast. 2, 3, 4. Yeah, we'll start there. Let's just get past the first 4 measures.
Guys, come on! I have a session coming up.
Yeah, I know. We know you do.
Yeah.
In my arms.
You know what? That was too slow.
It was a little slow. You know, by the time that you come in, then we're in tempo. So do your artistic, natural thing.
We only had a drummer here. You shouldn't ever take anything personally with what the singer has to say. And by the way, I'm using the term singer at this point.
I thought I was a
Joe,
musician.
this is supposed to be fun.
That feels great. I know they would complete me somehow. You know, you messed up that chord
I
there.
completely messed up that. And your voice is so freaking loud. Jesus.
Singing lullabies to a doll in my arms. I was only 5, but I knew I'd rock her to sleep, say goodnight to the stars. Someday our dreams will come true. Big world in front of me, they ask me what I wanna be. Every time all I can say is babies. I want babies. I'll be the luckiest lady. Babies, I want babies. Cute little feet, I know they would complete me somehow. I want babies right now. A funny looking 17, but something's different about me with the boys on the couch making out. Everybody's getting high. I drank too much of daddy's wine, but all I keep thinking about is babies. I want babies to have and to hold and to save me. Babies, I want babies, pudgy and would complete me somehow. Think. Really listen to what I'm saying. Let's go from the bridge.
No, Lucy.
Guys, seriously, I really got to go soon. We got to get this together.
I'll tell you what you need to do is mind your terms.
Oh, okay. Hey.
That's great. Okay, that'll
That's
do.
great, or is that correct?
It's fine. I got myself a full-time job. Been madly in and out of love. Still, I can't fill up this space. Other things can lead to happiness, lots of money and success, but all I keep thinking about is babies. Babies, precious little babies. Babies, screaming, drooling babies. Babies, goo goo gaga babies. Pudgy and sweet, I know they would complete me somehow. I want babies right now. Let's tag that a little bit so I can sing a little riffing feminine. Right now. Oh, then there's the major chord. Will someone knock me up now?
Maybe not after seeing what you did in Accompanist.
Okay, let's keep those thoughts to yourself from now on. If we're gonna have a relationship,
It's not really appropriate. That's not appropriate.
it's not cool, man.
Yeah. Anyway, I thought it sounded really good.
Well, thanks to Pro Tools. Vic, do we have what we need, really?
Yeah, no, if people were paying more, then I would say we should do it again, but they're only paying like $3 a month, so I think it's fine. I think it's fine.
Well, hopefully for my piano playing and any instrument, you learn what it's like to deal with an award-winning...
Woodward.
Well, yeah, because you're all going to get called to work with her. You heard the kind of live feed, and then I will go into Pro Tools and I'll fix and fix the things that I need to.
What does that mean?
This you can kind of get like almost like it's duet, like a male like Patty Austin and James Ingram or something.
This is a solo piece, it's not a duet, so I want no other female singers on this song.
It's not a female, it's a male
That's
voice
a
that
female
I
singer.
know it's a male
I don't
voice
want
that I
any
sped
female
up. See, look at
singers.
this, you can...
I don't want a male singer on
You
this
wish you
song.
could
It's about
fucking do that.
womanhood. No, Jeff, we're not seeing eye.
So once again, this is Lucy Woodward. It's a pleasure to have you on the show.
It's a pleasure. Well, in a couple of weeks, I go on tour with Charlie Hunter. We just did
Now,
a-
Charlie Hunter, not a lot of people know. He it looks like he's playing guitar, but it's also sounds like a bass at the same time.
Well, he has bass and guitar strings
and a
in
drum
one
and
unit
a fucking trombone. And
coming out of his head.
Yeah.
So we just did a record. It's super funky. It's basically just him and me and drums.
Does it have a title?
It's called Music, Music, Music with exclamation points. Meaning music, exclamation point, music, exclamation
There's
point.
3. Thanks for being here. Thank you for being here.
Thank you. for
Victor,
having
thank
me
you
again.
for being here.
I really got.
Victor actually said, I know I'm not supposed to, and he'll probably edit this out, but he said, I said, would you like to play drums on this? Because it's a waltz and it has big drums. He said, you actually have to pay me to play the drums. I'm a session musician. So,
I don't understand how you guys do it.
but this is another thing you should learn. Like everyone has a price, right?
Yeah.
You had your fee, which is totally understandable. I do this for the love of the show. Vic, it's like if I tell you I can do this for free, then I gotta do everyone's session for free.
You have to know your worth, and you have to know where your worth is in the world.
Oh, hi. How are you? It's Jeff. We hope you enjoyed that. This has been a really good... You know what? I learned so much today. I learned that you can't tune a piano, but you can tune a fish. Anyway, we hope you... That's called a dad joke. We hope you enjoyed this. Keep tuning in for humor like that and for musical information and to see what I'm wearing. Take care.
Hey, Jeff.
Hi,
Great to
Vic.
see you.
Hi, it's so great to be FaceTiming you from Las Vegas, Nevada. I've just come here. It looks like Paris because I can see the Eiffel Tower right there, but it's not. It's not Paris.
Yeah.
Where are you?
I'm here. I'm going to do a clinic at the top of the...
Of course.
Yeah, can you believe another episode already gone by?
Very
Thanks for FaceTiming.
Well, we're having our traditional wrap-up portion of the episode, right? So I suppose I should ask you a question. What did you find most meaningful about this particular episode?
Yeah, I don't know. Getting to watch you and Lucy was truly...
Yeah, absolutely. What I really enjoyed about it, well, how about Pete Thorne? Nope, he wasn't on this episode? Right, okay. Lucy Woodward, absolutely. What a pleasure. You know, I'm still working on getting her to follow the accompanist a little more, and we'll get to it eventually if I ever choose to work with her again. What did you think about her performance? Or our performance?
Well, it was disturbing and very educational, both at the same time.
How about the piano playing?
The piano playing was fantastic.
Thank you.
The singing
Thank you
was
so much.
fantastic.
It's kind of more of a piano feature than a vocal feature anyway. And what else did you like? How about Chris?
Really, what a magical guy. It's hard to tell from just that little snippet, but, you know, think about all the world's best drummers bringing all of their equipment to be cared for and worked on by him. He's quite incredible. And also, I've had the great fortune of getting to travel with him, and he is a swell fella.
He's a talented guy. We've got a lot of talented people in Los Angeles and beyond that make things and fix things. And that's something that kind of seems to fall between the cracks, don't you think?
Getting to talk with Dave Elitch was amazing.
Yeah.
He is a uniquely gifted individual, and you can tell he really
Couldn't agree
puts so
more.
much
I could
care
not
and love
agree
into
more,
what he
you know?
does. And I would urge anybody to go out and buy his videos.
Yeah. It turns out you're not on the other line at all, and I'm actually speaking to this pillow here.
And it's funny, I too was actually talking to a pillow. Is that weird?
Absolutely. Victor, you really are the sagest and soundest of advice givers. Anything I want to tell the viewers before we close? Absolutely. I want to tell them to keep on rocking.
Jeff, I hope you have safe travels and you make...
Okay. Sayonara. Till the next episode, which will be episode 4. Bonus piece of sage and sound advice. If you're working on music and you want the feeling that you're on hold on a telephone, you just kind of do. Or is that like the European phone ring? I just learned that when I was leaning on my keyboard. Stay tuned for the next episode.